We're going to roll right into Cloverfield for our next segment here on For Real Movie Club. Cloverfield is a 2008 American science fiction monster film, according to Wikipedia, directed by Matt Reeves, produced by J.J. Abrams, and written by Drew Goddard. Before setting on an official title, the film marketed as January 18th, 2008, the film follows 6 young New Yorkers attending a going-away party on the night that a gigantic monster attacks the city. So, we're going to start with Tom. What were your initial thoughts on Cloverfield?
All right, well, just to make believers out of all of you, I love this movie. This was one of the first movies that I watched it and immediately watched it again to try to figure out what I just experienced. I think it's fun when you can take something common and or something that you can something that people think they know and do something interesting with it. That, and I don't know why people in my theater vomited, but I really didn't think it was that bad. Maybe because I made a lot of crappy movies when I was a kid without a tripod. But I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was an interesting movie, and I really enjoyed it. So I recommend everybody watch it and not Godzilla 1998 or 2014.
Ian, what were your thoughts on Cloverfield?
This is a movie, I didn't get to see it in theaters, but I watched it in high school at home alone. No. But I have really fond memories of it, and I really love this movie. This is definitely one of my favorite movies in which a monster destroys all of New York City. I'm really not a very big fan of found footage movies. I'm somebody who can either get nauseated or annoyed by them. I happen to think The Blair Witch Project is one of the most overrated movies of all time, but that's not part of this podcast discussion. Anyway, I love the way they put found footage into it. The movie is scary as hell. They really did the whole Jaws effect that I talked about before of not showing the monster until later really well. I would highly recommend this, and I hope maybe one day they re-release it in theaters so I can see it there.
Sam, what were your opinions on Cloverfield? Initial reaction?
Initial reaction when I saw the movie was I enjoyed it. I was not a fan of how shaky the camera was. And I mean, AMC actually had to warn people about it going into the theater. I liked how the creature looked. I liked the chaos going around. But honestly, I liked the story I found out after the movie that like the producers and the writers and stuff talked about more so than the movie itself, and I wish they would have explored it.
And lastly, the one that I'm most excited about because his opinion is great. Gibby, what were your initial reaction to Cloverfield?
It was such a bad movie. I can't believe I'm actually in this room with you people. Like, I couldn't stand that movie at all. I basically fell asleep midway through the freaking thing.
It was upside down.
So boring. Like, oh my God, I'm eventually going to drop the camera. It's like, oh my God, all you're doing is hearing things. Oh my God, and freaking can't see shit because you're just running around with the camera in your hand. What in the world? How can you even call this a movie? Like, I felt like when I went there and saw it, I was like, I almost was tempted to go and be like, I want my money back. It was so god awful. I don't have no idea how in the world you people are even praising this piece of shit. I mean, it is awful. I mean, there is like no acting whatsoever. They're literally just running around the entire time, and the buildings and shit are just falling, and you can't tell what the hell's going on because you're just moving around the camera constantly and not being able to see anything. It is like, if I'm going to go and spend money on something, I actually want to be able to enjoy my time. I actually want to be able to see something. I don't want to just look at a camera just flopping around because I'm running around like an idiot.
You know what?
I'm just going to stop there.
Space. I think you should tell us how you really feel.
It's such a bad movie. Like, I can't be the only one here that thinks that is literally one of the, I would say it's probably the worst movie I've ever seen. Hands down, the worst movie I've ever seen.
Did you see Godzilla 98?
I gave it a 7. What do you think? Yeah.
Oh my God.
I have no idea how in the world you guys even fathom that this is even appropriate to even be in a movie theater. This shit should have went right out to the VHS because it shouldn't even put on DVD. That's how bad it was. And they should have just literally put them all in dump trucks.
Straight to Laserdisc.
Dump them right in the ocean because that's basically where it needs to go. It's garbage. Take it to the landfill, bury them all.
That's where you put your garbage in the ocean? That's pollution.
That's why we keep making Godzillas.
Hey, at least I can watch Godzilla. At least I can watch Godzilla. That was such a bad movie. Oh my God. I'm done. I'm stepping off my soapbox now.
I really don't know where to go from that.
I have somebody before brought up how much they liked the story that the actors and the producers talked about more than the actual movie, and I was curious as to what they were referring to. I don't know who said that.
Sam.
Wait, what?
Sam. You were talking earlier about how you heard like the idea for the movie that like the producers and the actors had talked about, but you didn't really go into detail. I was curious like what that was exactly. Like what's the movie?
The afterthoughts, like how they talked about the design of the creature and the backstory, where basically that it was a baby, and that it was running around because it was used to being at the very deepest depths of the ocean. So just like when our ears pop when we go up a mountain or something, it essentially had a similar effect where its ears were popping. It saw all these bright lights and noises. It didn't know what was going on. It was scared, running around, and people were blowing shit up around it. I found that more interesting than I did the movie, which I enjoyed the movie. But I thought that was cool.
That is a really interesting idea. Like, you can't really get into something like that in a found footage movie, but that's pretty profound.
Yeah. But then it also implies there's more of these fuckers, and they're even bigger than it is.
So there's going to be another Cloverfield. There might be another Cloverfield movie.
God, I hope not. Oh, my God.
Well, there is speculation. I believe Cloverfield 2 is on its way, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I hope I'm not alive for that.
They've been saying that's been 6 years. It's been a while then.
Well, Drew Goddard's huge now. I mean, he's the one doing the Daredevil show, isn't he?
And he did Cabin in the Woods, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the. I think that I think he'd like to do it, but I think he's got way bigger things going on to do another one of those.
Yeah, you're right.
So you're safe, Gibby.
Thank God. Thanks.
Oh no, I'm making it my personal life goal from now on to make as many Cloverfield movies as possible.
No, please.
Dedicate them to Gibby.
They will. It's gonna be called Gibbyfield.
God.
The monster is real.
The monster was stupid.
You know what I think is interesting is that I thought about Cloverfield a lot when I was watching Godzilla 2014, because Max Landis did this really cool interview about Man of Steel, saying how you know how movies just constantly try to one-up each other?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much it's turned into a staple now that, like, at the end of a summer movie, you have to level a city. Like, I mean, just think about it. Like, every movie, Transformers, they blew up all of Chicago. G.I. Joe 2, they blew up all of London. Oh, no.
That doesn't matter.
They did, like in one fight in Godzilla 2014, he stumbles back and just falls through a whole skyscraper. Just oops, and he just destroys it. But Max Landis kind of saying how this is getting to a point where, like, how do you ever have a hero when no matter what, the best case scenario is you beat the villain and a whole city's gone? Like, at the end of Man of Steel, it's like, all right, well, the bad guy's gone. Do you guys want to go to a baseball game? No, everyone's dead. I think Cloverfield's interesting because, you know, instead of getting desensitized every time Godzilla falls through a building, there's a whole building full of people who could have made Cloverfield. Like, I think you need something to remind you the reality of what that weight is. Like, there's even a rumor right now that the new Transformers trilogy is going to end with them destroying Earth. That's the point of one-upsmanship we're getting to with these. To me, it's almost like pornography anymore. It's just to this point where, like, you just keep. It's like, yeah, let's destroy 2 cities. Let's destroy Mount Rushmore and then all North Dakota and Canada too. How's anything gonna have weight if you can't ground ourselves at some point and be like, you know, destroying like one skyscraper is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So
Cloverfield came out at an interesting time. It came out in 2008, but it's like very much it's just like if you compare it to like Godzilla '98, one of them coming out before September 11th and one of them coming out afterwards. If you just think about the way in Godzilla they just like destroy an entire building by accident, and like you might have the reaction to like laugh or just like shrug it off, and then Cloverfield you feel the stakes whenever something is destroyed. There's a very human element to it.
Were you feeling it because you couldn't see anything and the camera was shaking back and forth, and eventually they dropped it, and then you were just staring at a wall for about 10 minutes until they picked up the camera again?
Well, then you heard the noise.
Movies that has characters that we care about.
Yeah.
They had characters in that? I didn't even know they had characters. I thought we were doing like another thing of like Running Man, where everyone's just running the entire time. I'm sorry. I'm running.
You're supposed to
running.
do a giant monster.
Oh, quick! Turn left. Swipe left. Running. Quick! Gotta slide. Running. Let me jump. That's all that movie was.
You sound very bitter about the way the movie was shot.
You sound almost disappointed.
Like, it was so bad. I'm sorry. There was no point in the movie. Like, what was the point of the movie?
Love.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know. I'm just throwing out like a generic word.
Literally all it was, they're running away from the monster.
That was the point. The point of the movie was to see, like, in a lot of these monster movies, you see the giant creature destroying the city. The point of this movie was you're supposed to see, well, what is happening to the people on the ground? It was giving you, like, a play-by-play of their reaction to what was going on.
So it's a
big
running
movies
movie.
always cut to like the boardroom where all the generals are like, "Here's what we're going to do." Oh, what was that? And then they all stopped. What was that? Oh, another building must have just fallen down. Then they just keep going anyway with their big plans.
Yeah,
this is the show where everyone, where you would like. You ever think about that? Like in one of these like Marvel movies, where it's like, "Oh my God, here comes aliens." Well, oh good, Iron Man has his armor. Yeah, but what would I do? I'm totally screwed.
That's something I hated.
An alien jet ski.
That's something I hated about the new Godzilla movie, was that it just basically all took place in boardrooms and with really boring scientists.
Hey, I'm a really boring scientist.
Oh, not all scientists are boring, but
Sam is definitely a boring scientist. Don't worry about that.
So, one of the things that we could talk about besides Gibby's pure hatred for the way the movie was shot is the viral campaign that initiated with this project in 2008.
I actually like that.
See? Oh, well, look at you. Go ahead and talk about it, since this is the only high point for you.
Yeah, like, I thought the way they actually marketed this thing and actually pushed it was probably one of the best movies I've ever seen, where they actually had a actual plan set in place to actually promote a movie, which is actually kind of shocking, because normally all it is they have all these trailers and things like that, but that one they actually went out and like feet to the ground running on basically how they wanted to promote it. And I thought that was extremely interesting, and I actually very much enjoyed it, and that's the reason why I went and watched it. Fortunately, I wish they would have put more time in actually making the movie than their propaganda, because the movie was god awful. But
so they did.
I mean,
all the marketing was gold, and then you got this turn.
They suckered me in. So I mean, you can't diss that, right?
You can diss the movie pretty hard.
Oh, that was a horrible movie. That's why it's pretty easy when a movie is basically, I'd rather stare at a piece of shit for an hour than to actually watch that movie.
Ow.
That's hurtful. Guys, what were your Tom? What was your thoughts on the whole viral tie-ins and the propaganda and all that stuff leading up to the movie?
I love when they do that. To me, that's as much crap as the internet has generated for the world. This is where I think it's really awesome, because this was what, 2008.
Yep.
So like this was right when the Dark Knight did a really fun one too. I did pretty much almost all of the Dark Knight viral campaign. I think anything that can really get you into one of these movies is awesome. So it's just like the cherry on top of an amazing movie Sunday.
Oh God. It has to be good. Like that, you're like completely missing the point that the movie was horrible. Jesus.
Ian, what were your thoughts on the viral campaigns?
Again, I didn't see the movie when it first came out, so it was like Godzilla, where at first I remember, like the original Godzilla, I remember the movie really well from not just the movie itself, but the marketing campaign. I don't remember it extremely that well, but I remember it being really cool, and I do love those tie-ins, and I know it's really helpful with horror movies and films like this. I think that of all the movies we watched today, the marketing was really important, and I'm going to bring it back to Godzilla 2014 for 1 second, if that's just okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just to say that had one of the best trailers I'd ever seen, and it seems like what Gibby's saying, that once again, this was another movie where he seemed to think that all the marketing was so much better than the movie itself, which is, I find it really interesting when a team of marketers can somehow top a giant Hollywood production.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think Cloverfield was much better than he did, clearly. I don't think anybody can take Cloverfield the way he does. It's actually really fun to watch him hate it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's ratings.
Jesus Christ.
Sam, what were your feelings on the campaigns and the viral tactics for that?
I thought they were great. I mean, I can't think of anybody back in 2008 who didn't want to see Cloverfield with all the viral marketing they had. And, like, they teased you just enough that you wanted to see it. And I wish some movies would do that again, because I already saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2 before I actually saw the movie. And I'm pretty confident I've already seen Days of Future Past, and the movie hasn't come out yet, with all the different trailers and TV spots and images and clips. And it's such an oversaturation. But Cloverfield played it like a fucking tease. And it just makes you more interested in going to see it.
Sweet.
I do like when a movie's campaign, I will say this also too, when they don't try and give every single thing away in the trailers. Mm-hmm. Like another big trailer out this summer that I'm amazed by is the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, just because they give you enough so you know what you're seeing, but they don't give away the entire story because I still have no idea what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what a good trailer should do. I think marketers and everyone in Hollywood has forgotten about that, but a good trailer needs to make you interested in the movie without giving away all the best parts. You should still want it. You shouldn't feel like you've seen the movie in 2.5 minutes.
Well, right. Somebody did a study, and they said the people they polled, I'm sure it's some flawed survey, Sam, but they said people would prefer to see a movie where they know what happens. But I don't know where the fuck they got those people from.
Oh, that's just weird. I watch a lot of movies with people who enjoy sitting there and predicting the movie as it happens and hoping they get it right, and I think there is a comfort in that for people, and I don't understand it. People look more for comfort food, I think, when it comes to their movies.
I can think of one person they probably surveyed for movies to know what's happening before it actually happens. Gibby?
Yes?
We're going to go through real quick. The one thing that, similar to Monster Squad, this was only about an 84, 87-minute run time. Do you feel that the movie was long enough?
Man, I wish I could get that. I need an 87-minute run time, but see, I wasted about, 15 minutes drive time, 5 minutes wait time. Like, I feel like they owe me at least like an hour and 45 minutes back in my life. And it's only, I'm just saying, I need my life back. That was, I can't.
Dear Cloverfield producers, build a time machine and give me back my time.
Please give me back my time. That was such a waste.
Tom, do you feel that the time allotted was very well for the movie, or should it have been longer, shorter?
I could see them tacking on another 15, 20 minutes to give some really nice, meaningful ending. But to me, it reminds me of Her, which I thought was the best picture last year. I think it's nice when they can not give it the feel-good, not pander to the audience with the ending, and really stick to something, stick to the message, and stick to what they were trying to do. So I thought it was just enough.
Ian?
I think the length was pretty perfect. The one part of the movie I really don't like is about the first 15 minutes before the monster starts to attack, because it kind of drags on, but you can't really take that out because it's important, and if you took it out, the movie would only be an hour long. But anyway, I was just reading about that the running time of the film, since about like 80 minutes, would be the length of a long-running mini DV tape, which is like the common format used for consumer cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool to me that they really put that much thought into it, and they made it that length for the exact reason.
Wow, I thought it couldn't get any better.
No, it's really cool they did that.
My God.
Sam, what did you feel about the time frame?
I thought it was fine. I mean, like someone said, I think it could have used maybe 15 more minutes, but I can't imagine them tacking on any more than that. The film did what it had to do, but like I said before, like the backstory was more interesting to me, and I know they were going for a realism where you're not going to get backstory when just random fucking monster attacks the city. They're figuring it out just as we're figuring it out, but I would have liked maybe like a 15-minute montage after the main guys died to be like, this is what we learned or something like that.
One of the last points I want to touch on before we get into our final thoughts, when it comes to casting, most of them were relatively newer to us and fresh on the screen. But for me, at least, one of the interesting choices for one of the casting was T.J. Miller as Hud, who is a comedian, and at the same time, he was the guy that was, running the camera and shooting these beautiful shots for Gibby. And I'm just curious, how did you feel on casting, and did you think T.J. Miller's comic relief, because there was some of that in this film, was it appropriate, and it made me laugh? Gibby, we'll start with you, the Hater Nation.
Every single one of them should be taken up back and shot.
And
they just made a horrible movie, and they should be taught a lesson.
Okay, well, outside of the camera angles, did you at least listen to them when they were speaking?
Like I told you, I could barely watch the movie. I listened, I watched.
You cried.
Struggled to stay awake. It was god-awfully boring, stupid, retarded.
Okay, so you're getting into final thoughts, so we're going to move on from you. Ian, how did you feel about the casting and, at least in my case, T.J. Miller behind the camera?
I'm a big fan of T.J. Miller's comedy, and I watch him in Silicon Valley on TV now, and I didn't realize it was him until recently, and I think back when this came out, he was still a comedian, but not as well known as he is now. He wasn't a star on TV, but I thought it's a very inspired casting choice. And I also want to point out that Lizzie Kaplan is in this as well, and that about halfway through the movie, she just explodes. There's a lot of the cast is pretty much unknown, but though, there's one or two stars in it who, if you're in, a certain camp of people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just was looking on IMDb, and Ben Feldman is in it. If anybody watches Mad Men, he's a big star on that now.
Okay.
People have gone on to do bigger things since.
Mm-hmm. Sam, what were your thoughts on the casting?
It probably ruined a lot of their careers.
I agree. I completely agree.
You're Sam.
I'm actually looking into this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking into this right now. Because they were all, either relatively unknowns or, like you said, that comedian. I didn't know. I've never listened to that guy's comedy, so I don't know who he is. So to me, he was an unknown. And I'm just looking this up. The only person who was really in that movie who went on to do really anything was one of the girls in the friend group who died.
Lizzie Kaplan.
I think she might have been the one who blew up.
Yeah.
She went on to be in Evil Dead.
Oh, there you go.
And Mean Girls and Masters of Sex.
She was a Mean Girl?
Could you imagine the pressure of trying to top performance in Cloverfield? So could you imagine the pressure of trying to top your performance in Cloverfield?
No, that can't be that hard. I mean, Jesus Christ. It
was the highlight of their
career.
Some interesting notes on the casting. Mike Vogel was almost Captain America. And Lizzie Kaplan was also in a Marvel Cinematic Universe short. Just, fun facts for the, Tom, what are your thoughts on the casting?
I thought it was great. I love the movie. Everybody fit. I love the movie even more now than when we started the podcast.
If I find you, Tom, if I find you.
So what we'll do now is we'll go around the horn. We'll get our final thoughts and a rating. Gibby, you're going last. Sam, we'll start with you. Final thoughts and 1 to 10.
Final thoughts. If they hadn't done the shaky camera as bad as they did, I would have enjoyed it more. The creature was fresh. The idea was fresh-ish. I'd give the movie probably an 8 out of 10. Maybe a 7.5.
What?
Okay, I'll give the movie a 7.5, but I'll up it to an 8 knowing all the little cool stuff afterward.
Oh, yeah.
And Ian, what was final thoughts and a scale of 1 to 10?
Given that this is literally the only shaky cam found footage movie that I can actually enjoy, I really like this movie. It's stuck with me since I saw it 5 or 6 years ago for the first time. It's still a really scary monster movie, still effective. I would give it about...
They're running. The entire
noises and running can be very scary. Anyway, I would give this about an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
No way.
Shush. You'll have your rebuttal. I'm pointing at like somebody beside me, but you're not there. I don't know why I'm pointing. Tom, what was your final thoughts and rating of this movie?
Yeah, I think especially now more than ever, it's a fresh, original movie. It's an experience that will do nothing but enhance your life and your worldview, and bring it makes a great heirloom to just keep so everyone can enjoy Cloverfield. But see, I'm really finicky with numbers, so I'm going to give it. I know no matter what I give it, Pacific Rim is going to get at least 1.7 more. So I'm going to give it. Well, plus Captain America just changed the whole spectrum for me, and since giving it an 11 would be ridiculous, I'll give it an 8.
So, Godzilla 98 over there. What are your final thoughts, if you have not already expressed them? And what is the ranking between 1 and 10?
Horrible movie. Horrible.
It's not a number.
Not worth your time watching.
Still not hearing a number.
2 Girls, 1 Cup is a higher number than this movie. All right, I'd rather watch that than this crap. I would say, at a scale from 1 to 10, this thing has got to be negative 100. It broke the scale, guys. It broke the scale. I would have to go with a 1. I mean, is 0 allowed? Is 0 the actual number? Because 0 is my answer. I mean, I cannot recommend this to anybody. Anybody. I feel sorry letting my arch nemesis even watching this. It's how god awful it is.
So you think? Have you seen the movie Clockwork Orange?
Yes.
I have not.
Oh well, never mind. You wouldn't get the reference. So, well, basically, this is the movie they strap you down, open your eyelids, and make you watch, according to Gibby.
Exactly.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, have been our coverage on the 4 Reel Movie Club for Cloverfield. So far, on an average rating, the best movie of the night.
Are you kidding me? No,
on
mine
average,
has to bring it
on
down
average.
a negative 100.
Hey, we still got one more.
We still got one more, but still, on average, I'm pretty sure this is still doing better.
Oh my god!
Wow.
This
Even the naysayers can't ruin this movie.
Yeah, even your negative 100 because you lied about the scale.
It's infallible.
Yeah.
That's how excellent it is.
So Cloverfield, Oscar nominated, Academy Award winning, all that stuff.
There's no way.
For those of you, for those of you that are listening on Mega Powers Radio, sit tight. We're going to roll into our 4th and final film, Pacific Rim. For those of you that are listening on YouTube, make sure you click the next video. We're going to do that little awkward pause for editing.